Hi, it's Scott, ROCKFILE, back with another podcast review for you. Going to talk about the 1986 body horror film From Beyond in its 4K edition. Totally missed out when Vinegar Syndrome, the boutique label, released this on 4K. There was a special limited edition with a slipcover. Then there was a regular edition that's available now. And again, I mentioned my store that I really like, the Atomic Movie Store, had a limited edition slipcover edition for cheaper than what the regular standard edition was going for. So I picked it up and I went back when it was being shipped to see, read up more about it, and it was gone off the site. So obviously he didn't have very many copies of it, and I got one of them. It was a limited edition. I think there were maybe 7,000 copies made, so I'm kind of happy to have one. From Beyond, 1986 movie based on a short story from H.P. Lovecraft. Literally the first 5 to 10 minutes is the short story. Everything else is what they came up with later. Barbara Crampton, Jeffrey Combs, Ken Foree, Ted Sorrell, Bunny Summers. It really is a product of its time. Came out in October of 1986, had a $4.5 million budget. After the success of the Reanimator movies, Stuart Gordon decided to make this, but wanted to make something without the comedy, something more serious. You have pretty much the same, cheap special effects. These are the early days of compositing and computer-generated stuff, and some of it doesn't work out so well. But one of the amazing things about the film is the practical effects. Later movies today, if we were to show something like The Thing or something like that, where there's multiple faces and animals and creatures popping out of this gooey mess, it would all be computer generated. It would not be real. But they have a scene like that where two of the actors are kind of popping in and out of this goo, and they're half formed some of the time, and other times they're not. This is all done with practical effects. It's pretty astounding looking. And on the extras, they go into a great deal about the slime, how it was created. It's actually a product of McDonald's. They thicken it up and they use it, but it spoils after a while and it started smelling bad. They use gallons, thousands of gallons of this goo. So it's a body horror movie where two scientists have basically discovered that there is another universe in parallel to ours. And when they work on this machine, it opens up the pineal gland that's in our head. It's not a gland that really does anything for us now, but this stimulates it, and therefore you can see these creatures that are around us all the time, just in a different plane of existence. And through that, one of the characters gets killed, brought back to life through this process, and maybe trying to open the door to another universe. That's kind of the gist of how it goes. It's definitely one of those movies that you used to see on cable late at night and go, well, I'm going to watch it for the effects and the gooey stuff, and maybe there's some nudity in it, which there was. I don't know if I ever saw this on VHS or HBO or any of those other streaming channels at the time, but I don't think I've ever seen the full unedited, uncut version until now. There's a lot of extras. This is a 3-disc set. You get the movie in 4K with some commentaries and stuff. Then all the extras on the first Blu-ray it's a newly produced 90-minute film with new interviews with everybody. That was pretty great, except for Stuart Gordon, who passed away in 2020. Then the second Blu-ray of the 3-disc is all of the previous extras that were on previous editions. It's really a great set if you're heavily into this movie. Now, what I paid for it's fine. This took me back to a time when I watched these things, and they kind of bothered me. Watching low-budget horror movies when I was a kid felt like I was watching something I probably shouldn't have been watching, and that made them feel much worse than they do. Watching them as an adult now is this is a bunch of cheesy effects, and they were really stretching the story, but it's actually kind of fun. There's some scenes that are kind of kinky, and there is a little bit of nudity in the film, but there's a lot of gory, gooey effects, so things like The Fly and like that. It's from 1986, and they really couldn't do a whole bunch of computer stuff. There's a lot of practical effects to it. I would say the Reanimator movies are probably better films, but again, this has different tone. This is more like an Italian film that's got a very dark tone to the whole thing and really no comic relief. Other than you laughing at the prosthetics and some of the other things that go on in the film. It's not played for laughs. They were trying to make a serious movie. And it does have kind of a weird downbeat kind of ending, which I also enjoy. But rewatching it now as an adult, this And this was a time of really creative movies. There's a lot that may not work. They tried some things in here that didn't always work every time. But all in all, watching it from beginning to end, it's like, wow, even at 80 minutes, they were stretching the story. But it's fun for what it is and the craft that went involved. And we make low-budget stuff now, but it's not even worth watching. This was actually worth watching. They were trying to do something with an H.P. Lovecraft story that was far too short to turn into a movie. I enjoyed it. I especially, again, it's one of those kind of movies that the extras make it worth the cost of admission. And then I got the limited edition slipcover, which has some really great artwork of the Doctor and his change form and some of the gooey stuff. That's pretty cool, too. But I would only recommend this if you're a fan of such things. If you're a fan of the Reanimator movies, then you definitely need to see this one. If you're a fan of Italian horror films, you would probably like it because it's in the vein of those kind of movies, even though it's an American film. Not my favorite horror movie of all time, but definitely be one that I'd pull out when the mood is right. If you want to see some really gooey, gory, and even kinky stuff, it really pushes the envelope in that vein. And the Vinegar Syndrome, well, the 4K looks fantastic for a low-budget film. Only had a $4.5 million budget. The film on some modern movies and the digital cameras and stuff cost more than, what they spent on this entire film. The practical effects are pretty good. Some of them are great. They do a lot of things with it, camera angles and things like that. Charles was really trying to do some other things with this film that he had, or Stuart Gordon was really trying to do some other things. I was thinking of Charles Band, the producer of some of these low-budget movies. But he was trying to make not the same thing he had done with the Reanimator movies. And, well, he did do something different. You could decide how much you love it. But From Beyond, as a fan of H.P. Lovecraft stories and things like that, this is an adequate retelling of a short story. There is some pretty gory stuff in it, and that's why most people like it. So it's short, got a plethora of extras. If you can pick up a copy on 4K, I would recommend it. Stuart Gordon's From Beyond. It's been out for a few years on 4K, starting to disappear, so if you're looking for it, go get it while you can. Scott, I'm ROCKFILE. More podcasts are on the way, a lot more movie podcasts, so thank you for listening. Please like, share, and subscribe, and have a spectacular day.